Bronco Nation, how's it going? This is the Bronco Country Roundup podcast. I'm Evan Sanford, joined by Carter Davis and Chase Glorfield. No Chris Van Sickle today. Unfortunately, our man on the blue is running a bit of a fever, not feeling so hot. So he is on his couch, probably watching highlights of the basketball team who just had a very nice win against South Dakota State. And if I'm correct, they are headed to the championship round in the Cayman Island Classic against TBD. That game is going on as we are recording between Boston College and who was the other team?
Oh, I just had this on my mind. Who was it?
We're barely a minute into this and we're forgetting stuff.
Missouri State is who they're playing.
Missouri State and Boston College are currently in the second half of their game while we're filming this right now.
Currently 2-point game with 3.5 minutes to go.
Ooh, all right.
Too.
So that'll be interesting. So Cayman Island Classic, the final game, I believe, is that going to be played tomorrow evening, or is that going to be Wednesday? Oh, geez.
You're asking questions we don't know, man.
Let me look again and I'll keep.
See, here's the problem, viewers. Here's the problem. Chris is the one who really covers basketball, and without him, we are falling apart at the seams. But anyway,
it's tomorrow at, it says 7:30 p.m., but I assuming that's local
Mountain
time. Probably earlier in the day for us, 5:30ish.
Okay. Well, anyways, we just wanted to say, Chris, if you're watching this, we hope you get well very soon, and we hope to see you possibly for a live stream or possibly just for filming next week's podcast for Oregon State. But moving ahead, we do have a little bit, we've got a few topics to discuss. We have a small recruiting tidbit to talk about today. The Mountain West Conference Championship. We're going to be talking about that here. The college football playoff bracket. We're going to recap Wyoming, which, you know what? For once, I'm actually deeply grateful that I did not watch that game. I took my wife to Seattle and we saw Wicked, the play, not the movie. And so I was at play instead of watching football, but it was really good. If you have a chance to go see it or the movie, it's worth your time. So we had a fun night in the city. But we'll do our good, bad, ugly recap of Wyoming, and then we're going to preview Oregon State as we always do. So starting off, a little recruiting tidbit. We're going to go to Chase. Get us started. What's going on?
Yeah, so Boise State's class of 25 quarterback commit, Hezekiah Melender from Georgia, just recently received an offer from UGA, from University of Georgia, kind of late in the game here. Very interesting. As of now, he's still a Boise State commit, but you never know. We'll see what happens. And it's interesting in the context of the early signing period starts on Wednesday, December 4th. So we're just over a week away from that. Boise State currently has 21 commits, Melender included. And again, we'll see what happens. Currently ranked number 1 in the Mountain West per 24/7 Sports, Bronco Country affiliated group. So yeah, and we've talked about this earlier, but we're hoping for some nice surprises on signing day on Wednesday, December 4th.
And there's normally pretty darn good coverage of signing day on the Bronco Corral. So again, Black Friday is right around the corner. If you're not a member of the Bronco Corral, why not? It's a amazing community. Check it out, and you get a ton of information typically before the general public, and then of course you get just some awesome discourse on there. It's how all of us on the Bronco Country Roundup, it's how we met, decided to form this podcast. Crazy stuff happens in the forums there.
Yep.
So give it a look and get a membership if you don't already have one. But anyways, moving on. The Mountain West Conference Championship game will be played December 6th. That's a Friday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. It has never been sold out. It has never been sold out at Albertson Stadium. It has never been sold out at Allegiant Stadium. It hasn't been sold out at anywhere the conference championship game has been played since the Mountain West started playing a conference title game in, was that 2014?
I think 2014. I think
so.
this might be the decade anniversary.
Yeah.
I remember going to the very first one against Fresno State, the year that we went to the Fiesta Bowl there, the last Fiesta Bowl year. But that's kind of the fact that it has never sold out kind of hits a nerve for us. It doesn't. We don't sit well with this, Bronco Nation. Not gonna lie. Having gone to every single one, I don't live in Boise anymore, or else I would be there. But it's always been a little bit of a disappointment for us seeing the community not turn out. Like students, some are going home. There is a actual excuse. They're going home for break. They're out of state, whatever. But for those that are sticking around, and for the community, go up. My goodness. Boise is a northern city. You have snow gear. You have jackets. Like, get some hand warmers and some hot cocoa and sit your butt in the stands and cheer on these Broncos. There is no excuse to not be there. It's 6 p.m. It's not like it's starting at midnight. 6 p.m. start time. Get your butt in the stands and cheer on the best, most historic team that we have had in 10 freaking years. We were close in 2019, and that Mountain West title game was sparsely attended. That was embarrassing.
I believe that was actually the lowest attended one. I'm looking at the attendance numbers right now. Is the lowest attended one in Boise State.
I was at that game, and it was embarrassing. Like, Bronco Nation, what the heck? Get your butts to the stadium. Like, plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Buy your tickets. They're not that expensive.
I mean, if you look at the attendances, the very first one in Boise State, or in Boise, that had 26,000 people. 2017, 18, and 19, we hosted 3 times in a row, 24,500, 23,662, 23,561. And the most recent one in 2022 was 24,000. We haven't even been able to get close to 30,000, and there's no way it's just because of the students. And it's very, very annoying because we've had games that have been colder that have sold out. I can remember a San Diego State game about
seeing your breath on the stadium. On the
see
field.
Your breath. There's snow in the stands, and there was 30,000+ people. So, like, I hear plenty of excuses about it's close to the holidays. It's close to, being colder.
Close to what holiday? Like,
it's
Pearl Harbor's the next day. That's the only day of note. Are you celebrating Pearl Harbor?
It's less than 20 days.
Albertson Stadium.
It's less than 20 days from Christmas, so I think maybe that's why. But I think what helps is I don't think we've ever been able to, or if we have, it hasn't been as pushed well. I don't think we've ever been able to have 2 weeks notice for this. I feel like it's always been about a week to try to sell out an entire stadium, which is hard. But we also didn't have Jeremiah Dickey at his full strength, which I think he is now. So I really hope that, 2 weeks to go, we have Dickey, we have this team. This will be our play-in game for the playoffs. Unless somehow we drop Oregon State, which we'll talk about later. This will be the play-in game. So this will be the most impactful championship game. So I think it'll be better, but there's precedent that it won't be.
Yeah.
I have 2 words for you.
Okay.
Ashton Genty.
Yep.
You're running out of chances to see him play in a Boise State uniform.
Yep.
So
that'll be it.
Unless you got hella money to go to a playoff game, which I imagine 95% of our viewers do not have.
If you're not spending the money to go to the championship game, you ain't spending it to go to a playoff game.
Exactly. So you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, and again, like, I don't want to hear any complaint. Oh, it's cold, or oh, it's late. It's 6 p.m. Like, Boise, is a northern city. You get snow. You should know how to deal with it. It gets cold. You should know how to deal with it.
And it's early December. It's not even the weather gets bad late December unless it's something crazy. Yeah. So it's a lot of excuses. It's not reasons.
Yeah. So
get some tickets. They're great stocking stuffers. I mean, come on.
They're cheap too. I don't want to keep beating this dead horse. They're cheap too. My whole family, all 4 of us, got tickets to it for like $180.
Yeah, bundle up and like get some hot cocoa. If you're still feeling chilly, just put some Baileys in it. You'll be fine.
Yep.
Anyways, moving on, actually not quite moving on. One last turnout. Sell out that stadium, okay? Because I can't be there.
Please.
So sell out the
Just
stadium.
get close to sellout at least. Get over 30,000.
Yeah.
Make it look respectable.
Moving on, our opponent is yet to be decided. We've got some scenarios to break down. Most likely it's going to be UNLV because UNLV is in control of their own destiny right now. If UNLV wins, they are in. They play Nevada. But as we were talking about before we started recording here, could definitely see a very chippy Nevada, Jeff Choate-led Nevada coming into that game and like playing hard, giving them a run for their money.
The Fremont Cannon's on the line. That's always a big deal.
That's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
An actual one.
And Colorado State has to beat, oh dang it, who was
Utah State.
Which
that could happen. They've played better, but Colorado State can do it.
Yeah, if Colorado State wants to be in the Mountain West title game, then they really should take care of a Utah State team that is just down bad. With the offseason that they had. I'm not trying to dunk on Utah State, but like this year was never going to be great for them with that offseason.
No, they need to be dunked on. It's cool.
Fair enough. They're trash. So they should be. Colorado State really should take care of them. So very interesting games to watch this week. I don't actually know if those games are all being played Friday or Saturday, but just take a look and follow along because we got some scenarios. Moving on, unless you guys got the schedule of those games, of days of those games. Moving on to the CFP bracket. Boise State still is ahead of the Big 12 champion and still is getting a bye week, which is interesting.
Yes.
Carter, how do you feel about that?
In the nicest way possible, I don't think Boise State probably deserves that bye.
Nope.
I don't think so. I don't think we've played to the level that a team. Well, I don't think we played to the level of a team that deserves it. I mean, honestly, like you have teams like Tulane that are blowing out teams like Navy. I don't think Navy's that good. Navy is better than Wyoming. I know that for sure. You got Tulane has been blowing teams out. We've been scrapping with Mountain West teams, and I know how good this team can be. We've seen it. We've seen it against Oregon, against San Diego State, against Wazoo. I mean, halfway through the season, people were begging Boise State to keep Ashton Genty in the game because they were pulling him out at halftime so much. Now we're begging for Genty to get a break so we don't break our favorite toy with 35 to 40 rushing yards a game. It's the amount of 180 flip of momentum and feeling in this team is crazy. So I love seeing the bye because it'd be great for program building, but I'm also worried the program takes a hit if we get the bye and we get an Ohio State coming off of, blowing out BYU, or we get like a Arizona State doing the same thing. Teams that are building momentum at the end of the season, running into a Boise State that could get healthier. But what is health going to do when your secondary can't play to the level that it needs to play at? What can health do if they stack the box with 9 players and Ashton Genty can't run and we have to depend on Maddox, who can play great or play bad? So I think most likely what would be best for Boise State is to get a first-round game, maybe even a home game if it somehow works out that way, because teams keep losing. We could work our way up in where, we could get that home game. I think that would be better.
Yeah,
because
and agreed.
Yeah, it's an easier team. It's better stakes. If we win a game, we want a playoff game. But if we get our teeth kicked in a quarterfinal, that doesn't do anything for us. That's a sour end on a pretty good season.
Yeah, we were talking before recording this. Like we all are pretty much in agreement that it is better for Boise State to play in the first round against a more manageable opponent, because we are extremely one-dimensional on defense. We're extremely one-dimensional on offense. Get a win in the playoff. That's a huge deal. Momentum builder. That's a lot more marketable than playing one game and getting absolutely steamrolled by a team that's like firing on all cylinders when we are not. Like, I mean, if you like, there's an argument to be had, like Carter said, about like health. They'll get healthy, all that stuff. It's like, well, how much healthier are they going to get? And like, again, you're going up against a team with momentum at a neutral site. You're still going to have to travel a whole bunch, probably to the East Coast. Like,
yeah, I mean the closest one is the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona, and that's really that could be an Arizona State game. So it would be neutral, but Arizona State would be there. Also, the thing about health, we got Roger Carrion back, and he struggled. He had 2 to 3 holding penalties, I think. So even if we do get healthy, these guys don't have the muscle memory or the season experience to play at the level we need them to play. So there's a lot going into this that doesn't read well for the Broncos right now.
And Roger Carrion is healthy, but how healthy is healthy? So
he looked like a guy who hasn't played since week 2. I mean, you don't get the snap reps in practice. You're a step slow. The technique maybe is a little lethargic, a little rusty, and that's what it looked like. Hence the 2 to 3 holds, as Carter said. He'll be better this upcoming week against Oregon State, but and not to focus on just him, because there's a lot of things happening with the team, but that's kind of a microcosm, I guess, of what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think it's just a representation of the health argument of like, even if we do get healthy, these guys aren't ready to go. They're not ready to face a Ohio State defensive line.
No. And like you said, Tulane is like blowing out the teams they should blow out right now. Yeah, their strength of resume is not like half as good as Boise State's. Yeah. But right now they're firing on all cylinders, and we look like we're just trying to limp to the finish line here. So they look like a much better product, right? Excuse me, sorry. Right now than we do. So,
absolutely.
And that's just the eye test.
Yeah, that sucks to say, but you can't argue that. You just can't. Like, if I just don't think you can argue right now that Boise State looks better than Tulane.
Yeah. Well, and something I keep thinking about, and maybe I'm getting ahead of us here, but teams now have 11 games of game film on Boise State. And really the last few teams, you've seen what they've done with the secondary and the passing game, and they watch film and they prepare. So, Boise State's found a way the last 2 games, but it's I think Evan said it best, limping to the finish line here. It looks like a little bit.
Yeah. Which, we've kind of touched on a few of our talking points already, but let's move on to the Wyoming recap before we just talk about it without actually talking about it. This week we did unified game balls because we were struggling to give game balls. So if it's okay with you guys, I'll just go ahead and announce all 3 right now.
Yep.
So on offense, we have a unified game ball, Ashton Genty, because without Ashton Genty, the offense was completely hapless. And then defense, we thought Ahmed Hassanain had a great game, and he gets the game ball there. Great play, especially was it that 4th down sack? Was that him?
I think he was the one that started it, but then a bunch of people converged after that.
Okay. Yeah. So and to be completely transparent here, Bronco Nation, I went and I watched highlights of the game. I did not actually sit down and watch the game. So my knowledge of like what transpired, all that stuff is a little bit limited. So then anyways, moving on to special teams game ball, JFR. So I saw that highlight of the run punt option. I actually think that's awesome. And I would love to see him just like tuck it and try and go for one. And try and
he might.
I thought he was going to, but then at the last second he gave.
He was right on that line.
I think he wanted to, but at the last second he was like, I probably should do the better.
Yeah, he was the Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Week. I think he had 4 punts inside the 20. He definitely filled position
Well, I mean, think about what it does for their coverage team. Like our guys can get down the field and like unblocked if they're worried about him taking off. Like that's a really good wrinkle. And there finally we see something positive about special teams. And hey, Stacey Collins, yay!
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 Good job, buddy.
Most half-hearted yay ever. All right, so Chase, I'll start with you. We'll start with good. Now, like I know that we've gotten sidetracked before and gotten immediately to the bad, but good only. I'm holding your guys' feet to the fire. Good only.
All right, good. Boise State found a way to win. You know, I was at an alumni watch party at a restaurant here in the Twin Falls area, and there were some nervous old people wearing Bronco gear in that restaurant there. So they found a way. And if you look back at some of the best teams in Boise State history, that 2009 team that won that first Fiesta Bowl beat Wyoming 17-10 in Laramie, needed a last second field goal to beat San Jose State at like a weird 9:00 a.m. kickoff game that year. So even some of these really good teams struggle. So Boise State, you know, again, we want to say the specter of Andy Avalos. This is a game 100% Boise State loses in the last few years. And it sucks. We've said that 3 games in a row, but it's definitely a game Boise State would have lost, but they found a way. There's some grit, some stick-to-itiveness there, and some tenacity, and they got it done. So
yeah, this is another Andy Avalos lost game or a late era Harsin clunker.
Yeah,
has it written all over it. Which again, testament to Danielson. Keeps the guys going, keeps them fighting. A lot of grit, and weird things happen in Laramie. But Carter, what are your good?
Ashton Jeanty, because without him, I truly don't think we win that game.
Yeah.
If Genty's not playing, we lose because he's basically all of our points. He had that long run for a touchdown. Whole reason we got to the 5-yard line was because of him. I mean, Dalmas was 50% on field goals, so I mean that really doesn't do much. Ashton Jeanty was about the only good I can think of, and I'm really trying to stay positive. It was him. I mean, like we said, Hassanin had a good game. JFR is getting his stride. I think he's had a rough season, but this was a good come out game for him, so that was nice. I mean, that's it, really. That's all I can kind of muster.
That's fair, and I will circle back for what we really want to talk about. But one thing you brought up an interesting point, and it's kind of a Twitter discussion. Some people were asking, like, where would we be without Ashton Jeanty? And, like, there's different hypotheticals that are being discussed online. But one thing that I kind of went back to is, like, Breezy Dubar is not 100% right now. That's evident. Yeah. We lost Sayer Gaines, but I'm kind of wondering, like, where has Dylan Riley been? Like, when he's been in, he has been pretty darn good. Like, why isn't he, especially this stage of the season and with his skill set, why isn't he getting a little bit more, like, packages or like just carries or whatever? Like, because he can do a lot. He's very good, and like, sure, he's a freshman. He has fumbled, happens, but like that's the amount of talent that he brings to this offense. I don't know. It feels like you can't really ignore that, and it's kind of gotten lost a little bit this year. So I'd be curious, I'd just like to see him a little bit more. I don't know.
My guess is maybe they're trying to save him for redshirt, but now he plays on special teams. So
yeah.
We don't see him in practice. I don't know. Maybe there are some fumble issues. Maybe there's some play issues where, like, maybe he's not sure or isn't quite solid on the right hole or what to do. I mean, I don't know. This is just me speculating.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if he's good enough, he would be playing. They put Tyler Crow in before him, and I'm not trying to bash on Tyler Crow, but he's our fullback. He should be in there on short yardage situations, which he is. But like, you would think a guy of Dylan Riley's level would be above Crow to really play more, but just don't see him. So,
and on some of these obvious runs where we're going to go between the tackles, I'd like to see Tyler Crow a little bit more often. Like, go ahead, like sub out, like go to some heavy personnel if everyone in the stadium knows what's going to happen, then just commit to it, beef up that line, and if they're going to load the box, then like let's just do like 3 down straight of Clydesdale and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Might
a
as well.
fullback that we never use.
Yeah, might as well. So I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to our bad, and I can already see the Carter starting to turn red a little bit. I can already see it building. Chase, I'm gonna make Carter wait a little bit longer. I'm gonna go to you first.
Man, there's a lot to talk about, right? Like, and it just I feel like it kind of comes back to the same stuff we kind of talked about quite a bit this season, but especially these last 3 games. But to me, and please don't take this the wrong way, my bad is going to go. I'm going to say coaching. Okay, kind of where I need my hot take sign. To me, Spencer Danielson, first-year head coach. This is the first time he's had a full season where he's got to get the most and the best out of his players every single game, every single snap. And these last 3 games, I haven't seen it. We haven't seen it, right? So I get it. It's a grind. Winning is hard. You can't take it for granted. Laramie's weird place to play. San Jose State's always a tough place to play. There was the choke factor when Nevada came to town. But it just seems like I wouldn't say he's overmatched or overwhelmed Spencer Danielson, but I just don't know if those right buttons are being pushed to maximize the effort, to maximize what he gets out of the talent on the field. And you kind of see that whether he's not holding the coaches accountable, the secondary coach or whatever aspects it looks like, it just seems something's missing. And a team always takes on the identity of its head coach. Okay, and so the team has been able to stay calm and do what it needs to do in the right moments, but something's just missing. And to me, that goes back to kind of coaching across the board.
I like that. That's I wouldn't say that's a hot take. I think that's a very, very good take.
Yeah.
All right, Carter.
No, I mean, I would agree with Chase because, like, we're no longer in a 1-game kind of blow-off situation because that's what it was with Nevada. It's like, oh, it's the choke effect or whatever. As with Hawaii, it's like, oh, the islands are weird, like whatever. It was, but with like at this point, it's like it's no longer the players. It's bigger than that. We should not be scrapping with Wyoming. The one thing I said last week is that I wanted to see domination. I'm tired of these scrappy games. And that was we got the exact opposite. It was the exact same thing of just something not being right. And so obviously I could sit here and talk about the offensive line like I have. Madsen was running around for his life sometimes. Genty was met in the backfield, just like I've been complaining about. I could talk about the secondary. How do you get beat by wide receivers when it's an obvious pass down and you're going against the 110th, what is it? The 108th passing offense, and you allow a deep pass in a game like that. But I could sit here and talk about that. I'm not going to. It's bigger. It's a bigger issue than the players at this point. I think Chase is spot on. This isn't something that I've realized until right now. I don't know what it is to fix, but something needs to change. And it's not the players anymore. It's the technique. It's the scheme. It's something. Because we are the obviously more talented team than Wyoming. North Texas put up 40 points on those guys. They're 2-8. We should not be feeding into their idea that they could beat us. That is not what playoff teams do. And so I agree with Chase wholeheartedly that it's Spencer Danielson. He's a great coach, but this is an obvious sign that he's a first-year head coach. There seems to be a lack of cutthroat mentality, a lot of grinding, a lot of working our tails off, but not a lot of foot on the neck, choke the life out of teams that do not deserve to have hope that they could beat us.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that I've said earlier when we first got this podcast started is we had too much talent to be where we were last year. We had too much talent to be where we are right now, like grinding out games. We have too much talent for that. To my untrained eye, of full transparency, I never played a down of organized football. I was a baseball player, but to my untrained eye, at least on defense, it's a scheme issue. And like in certain areas, it's a talent issue. But for the most part, we have too much talent to be squeaking by against teams that we should kick their teeth in. Like
Yeah.
we played a game that we should have won against the best team in the country, and we should have beat them.
Yeah.
We really should have. And that was when we were completely healthy, week 2, yada yada yada. But we should have beat them. And now we're like 3 games in a row where it's like, we should have lost that game. Like if we had the exact same coaching staff a year ago, we would have lost that game. Like that's not where we should be right now.
I think it's more than the 3 games. Besides the San Diego State game, we have looked absolutely terrible since the Hawaii game.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like we left our will to win on the beach.
yeah.
I don't get it. The second that Hawaii game happened is the second this team started downtrending. And that's half the season ago by now.
Yeah. And I guess we've kind of already, unless you have a specific ugly that you have not mentioned, we've kind of already mentioned a lot of it. Chase, Carter.
It's mixed together.
Wyoming's uniform color combo.
Oh God, yes.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The
pretty ugly.
poo-poo pee-pee colors
Yeah.
are just disgusting to look at.
But I guess at this point, before we start talking about Oregon State, I will invite our viewers to do a little venting in the comments section, like any specifics that I'm already regretting this because I already know there's going to be like, oh, we should change the quarterback, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Anyways,
I'm not here to call for people's jobs, but
yeah,
18.2 QBR is
not great.
not great. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm ranting now, but sometimes when we get into these conversations, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Boise State fans are so spoiled. Why can't you enjoy the season?" It's like I get that idea, but Boise State has had 27 straight winning seasons for a reason. And it's the expectation that the fans put on this program. It's the expectations that the players have for themselves. I guarantee the players are not meeting the expectations that they set for themselves. I guarantee none of them went into Wyoming like, "Oh, I hope we can beat these guys." No. Like, the expectation is higher. We pay money into this program. We give to the NIL. We give to the merchandise. We give to the concessions. We give for season tickets. I think we have a little bit of a right to say, "Hey, this is not acceptable." Because,
Yeah.
we're 10-1, but without Ashton Genty, like you talked about before, what are we then?
Yeah.
It's like
I'm intrigued, Carter. Sorry to cut you off here. I'm intrigued by what the feeling and vibe in the locker room is. Not to not continue this. Like you see every after every game they win, they post that celebration where they're throwing water bottles all over Danielson and they're singing the fight song and there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of excitement. But truly, like I want to know what it's like.
Yeah.
This one looked a lot more somber.
Yeah,
they've
from
all
the
looked a little bit
bit.
more somber. If you go back to the Wazoo game, they're losing their minds. The last few ones have not been. Continue, Chase. Sorry, but
No, you're good. I just like, do they share our sentiments? Is good teams don't ever pay attention to the outside noise, good or bad, right? They don't follow that roller coaster. They stay pretty even keel throughout. And Spencer Danielson does that as well. But again, it comes back to what buttons is he going to be able to push this week over the next couple weeks to squeeze more juice out of that team.
Yeah.
And we are game 12, not week 12, game 12, and we're coming in what it feels like fumes now to an Oregon State team who, like if you've been following this podcast for a while, like this is one of the games that I circled on the calendar back when my original prediction was I think we're going to go 9-3. I changed that to 11-1, but this was one of the games I circled like I'm terrified of this game. Oregon State, like, yeah, they haven't put up like all these great numbers, all that, yada, yada, yada. That's still, they have talent on that roster. Like, they are reasonably well coached. Like, they've gone through a huge, just like Wazoo did, they went through a huge transition, went down the portal. They're trying to figure it out. Wazoo did a better job because they are better coached at handling all that adversity than Oregon State did. But they still have a good roster. That is not a bad football team. that's coming into Albertson Stadium to try and become bowl eligible. So that they've got a lot to fight for. They have a continuation to their season. Those seniors are going to want to keep on playing and punch us in the mouth. Huge opportunity for them, and for us, it's like it's an even bigger opportunity. It means a lot more. But are we even going to be able to rise to the occasion? It's a 10 a.m. kickoff in Boise on Black Friday after Thanksgiving. Like, what's it going to be? Is Bronco Nation going to show up, or are they going to be like, I need to sleep in. I'll just watch on the TV. Like,
Yeah.
once more, Bronco Nation calling you out, get your butts to the stadium.
Yeah.
I when I lived in Boise, never missed one. So just saying.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there probably around 9 a.m.
Which actually, by the way, if you're going to be there, take some pictures. I wanna see like see
Send them
some
out.
photos that we can share on the podcast. I think that'd be fun. Anyways,
Okay.
moving on. Oregon State. What do you think? Chase, I'll start with you, then we'll go to Carter. What's your kind of preview? Then what do you want to see? Well, let's talk about Oregon State a little bit first, and then let's do our usual. What do you want to see out of Boise State?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Oregon State had that transition this offseason. Their head coach left for Michigan State, right? He kind of saw the writing on the wall. We're not in the Pac-12 anymore. Let's move on, right? And he took I believe it's Aiden Childs. Is that the name? The quarterback who was like the quarterback of the future for Oregon State. He followed his coach to Michigan State. So a big transition. Their running back, Damian Martinez, he went to Miami. So they lost some people, right? As you said, they kind of won a few games early in the season. Then they lost a few in a row here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row before finally beating Washington State at home just this last Saturday. Another interesting aspect is they're 5-6, so they need a win to get bowl eligible. Coming into Albertson Stadium this early morning kickoff. It will be a 9 a.m. kickoff for Oregon State. Looking at the stats, I know Carter will go into the stats a little bit more here, but they're average offensively and not great defensively. So it's the opportunities there for Boise State to not just win, but to dominate. Again, if the right buttons are pushed, if the right things are done, the right mentality is there for the Broncos.
Well, hearing that they're average offensively makes me a little bit nervous for our defense. Not gonna lie, because that's a step above what we've been facing, and well, defense is the defense. Carter, anything else to add about Oregon State?
Yeah, I'm gonna go offense and defense. Looking at Oregon State offense, they rank 58th in the country total offense. Compare that to Wyoming's 117th. So there's that. Passing efficiency, they are 123rd though, and passing yards, they're 97th. So I didn't check their rushing stats, but rushing seems to be their strength, which is good for us. Rush defense is our strength. But there's a better offense than Wyoming. So take that however you want, I guess. Right. Defense, total defense is 96th. Wyoming's was 115th, so a little bit better, but Wyoming kept us to 17 points. Rush defense is 102. Wyoming's rush defense was 116. Passing efficiency. Oh no. Let me see here. Total sacks though. Here's the thing. They are dead last in the country in total sacks. They average less. They average about half a sack a game. So
bodes well for us.
Yep, bodes well for Madsen back there.
Yeah.
So I think what we're kind of looking at here is a better version of Wyoming. And again, take that how you want. I thought for sure Boise State was going to roll Wyoming. Then we got what we got. Oregon State's better than that. And like Chase said, they're going to be fighting for a bowl game. There's going to be seniors that were Pac-12 recruits that are going to be wanting to finish out the season strong. So I don't know. I really thought last week was going to be the game changer, and it wasn't. So there's obvious signs that Boise State can be good here, but I don't know anymore. This team, I cannot make a prediction anymore. So I hope it's good. I hope the sign is there, but these numbers don't mean anything if Wyoming's numbers were worse and we barely won.
Yeah.
And I think I can speak for all of us when and this is actually we did not make any kind of unified prediction on this game, but I think I can speak for all of us when I say all of us want this game to be a step on their throat, let's just crush them, dominate them, both sides of the ball. But our prediction is a grinder. I say we do a little bit better on the blue. I say it's 21-17 Boise State.
I can't argue against that. I mean, the bare minimum I would accept really is like a 10-point win, just something where it shows we are getting better. The past few weeks, we have not shown that we've been getting better. So any sign of positive is good.
Yeah. And Chase, what's I guess if you had to feet to the fire, what's the score prediction?
Guys, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna maybe have some egg on my face here. Boise State wins 45-17.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna find a little extra mojo here, and Spencer Danielson's gonna change up whatever he's been doing the last few weeks and get the boys rolling, ready to go, knowing what's on the line for Boise State.
Yeah, this is every single game, but this is game 12.
This is the most important game because it is the next game.
Boo.
This is the most important one because it's the next one. We don't look ahead.
Boo.
These boys are working their tails off, okay?
Well, fun fact, the last time we played Oregon State, was kind of the beginning of the end for poor Tim Plow, who got it Coach of the Year, by the way, at UC Davis. It was one of those regional awards. So within his region, Spencer Danielson got the regional award for FBS 1A, and so he got the regional award down there. But it's kind of the beginning of the end of the Plow era.
Turns out he wasn't the problem of Boise State.
Turns out it was somebody else.
Yeah, it was. So hopefully, if we can beat Oregon State, do you think we can finally exercise some of these demons? I personally, I think we have to beat Colorado State for us to be totally exercised of the Andy Avalos demons. But
I mean, I think I love Andy Avalos, but I think he's kind of left a stain on program history. Because, I mean, really, but besides that dip, when was the last time Boise State was really that bad?
Yeah.
I probably before I was born, before 1997. I was born in 98, but 97, I think, was our last losing season. I can't think of a time since I've been a fan where this fan base was really that low. So I love Andy Avalos, but I think his ghost is here to stay.
At least for a little bit, we need to beat some of these teams that and just reassert who we are a little bit. Winning the Mountain West last year was great, but for the first time ever, we could win back-to-back Mountain West titles. That's kind of crazy to me, but for the first time ever, let's go do it. On that, kind of positive, kind of negative note, kind of mixed note a little bit. We're gonna end
like this season,
Yeah, kind of like this season.
All right, I'm in my feelings. I'm sorry, everybody.
Well, viewers, I invite you to put in your score predictions, air your grievances, tell us how much you miss Chris, tell us how silly we are. Invite you to do that in the comment section below. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good night, and go Broncos.